on the impact of events. And the moderator for this is Mr. Philip Logan. Mr. Logan is the Vice President of Barque Hotels and is currently leading Accor's Asia-Pacific foray in the international low-cost hotel segment with their launch of Hotel Formula One brand in 2012. Formula One has 4 operation hotels, a further 3 to open in the coming months, and 19 various stages of development in India. Mr. Logan, can I please request? Our panelists include Mr. Martin Sirk, who I don't think requires any introduction after yesterday. Mr. Sirk is the CEO of the ICCA. I have the honor of inviting Dr. S.S. RAMESH to also join the panel. Dr. RAMESH has been a consultant cardiologist practicing in Bangalore since 1982. He was the first cardiologist in Karnataka to do a coronary angiogram and the first to do a coronary angioplasty in 1989. Dr. RAMESH has been instrumental in establishing the Bangalore chapter of the Cardiological Society and Brothers Coal Sales Limited.
Good afternoon. I come from the private sector. 15 minutes is 15 minutes. I'll take 2 minutes. We have three learned speakers with us. They'll take 4 minutes each. 3 4s are 12, plus 2 is 14, and I'll take 1 minute to wrap, so we'll be finished in 15 minutes. Please start your watches now. Can someone set their smartphone on 15 minutes, and you can time me out at 2 minutes. This is session 7. 7 is my lucky number, and yours. Why? Because we're talking about the impact of events. So I'm going to personally impact you. Please stand up. Can you all please step? Please arise. Remember, it's important to get your metabolism going before lunch. You want to burn your calories, and we all want to burn calories, correct? I certainly know I do. So something that was done to me about 20 years ago, I thought was a bit weird, but it works. Hands above your heads, please. Say after me, I feel great.
I feel great.
I feel terrific.
I feel terrific.
I feel great.
I feel great.
I feel terrific.
I feel terrific.
Now say it a lot louder. I feel great.
I feel great. I feel terrific.
Louder.
I feel great.
Louder. I can't hear you. I'm not sure if you feel great, but I feel terrific. Right. So now you're awake. You're awake for 12 minutes. That took 1 minute. I have 1 KPI left to introduce my speakers. We have a learned cardiologist here. We have a learned international association head, and we have a learned person from the coal industry. So what we'll do is we'll go with the Indian perspective and then the international perspective. Doctor, from you, cardiology. Cardiology, as a person who ran venues and ran events, the World Cardiology Society is a prestigious event. And as a person who has a brother who's a doctor in the family, cardiology is close to my heart. And there's a bit of fight in the medical industry whether neurology or cardiology is the most important thing. But for me, if my heart doesn't work, then everything else is a bit of a problem. Doctor, the impact of events to your industry, to medical industry, to cardiology, in 4 minutes.
Yeah, well, conferences or events were initially designed for more knowledge acquisition. But with the internet and smartphones and various gadgets, conference or event as a place for learning is becoming less and less important. Today, just wherever you are, you can just get any information, the latest information that is available. Say 30 years back, we were always looking forward to attending a conference because that's the only occasion or a venue we had to learn what is happening latest around the world, but no more it is relevant today. Just in the last session, previous session, they heard that one of the reasons a lot of youngsters today don't attend the meetings is because everything is available to them and they don't think it's important to come to a meeting. So another problem that is also happening all over is that mushrooming of events. For example, in cardiology today, in just a small subject, I'm talking about one part. I'm sure it is happening with all other professions and interests. Is that almost every week, if you want to really attend, practically every week you could be in an event, because there are main events, there are specialty events, subspecialty events. And that again is making it difficult. So of course, events are important, conference is important. It has still some place for learning. Major aspect is, of course, is networking. I think whatever happens in spite of WhatsApp, in spite of various other applications, I think nothing like a personal one-to-one interaction, and that networking. I think today events are more networking, socializing event that have happened. Of course, still it has some relevance in learning, especially because whatever said and done, the electronic design is still an inanimate kind of area. There is nothing like a personal interaction or personal way of talking to people and learning. So I think that is where the events have to make it more interesting, and you see a gradual evolvement of events like that. No more the events are full of somebody coming and talking. Earlier that was what was happening in the event. An expert, so-called expert, comes and starts talking and everybody listens. But today it has become more interactive. I mean, as we have seen in this event itself, there are, instead of didactic lectures, we see a lot of interaction and panel discussions. And a lot of workshops. I think hands-on workshops are what is it? Because at least in our medical discipline, there is an event wherein we can hands-on do the work, and there's an industrial participation. I mean, there is one way of learning, wherein the new products and others related to our this one, we can see directly, visualize and interact and learn. I think that is how the events have gradually changed, and the impact of events, of course, is becoming less compared to, say, what was 25 years back.
But what you're really alluding to is specialization and new variations on the same, rather than one large meeting, multiple smaller specialized meetings, although you do have a global and a national and regional meetings. It's the information and the spread of information and the collegiate is just as important. Is that where you're coming from?
No, it is, see, some are important, but that is what I'm saying. Most of the time today, because the resources are available, everybody wants to organize an event. And many times it is repetitious. Right. You will see there is nothing much different. Especially I recently attended American College of Cardiology, one of the largest congregation of cardiologists in the world. And what happens is the same topic is put it in a different way. One, there is a panel discussion, another is a symposium, another is an expert talking, there is a workshop or a live demo. I mean, just to fill the gap, because a lot of people come and you have to keep them occupied. And sometimes it is also a concern, at least as a person who organized one of the largest cardiology conference recently. It's also a concern, a lot of resources get wasted. And I strongly believe a time has come where some kind of regulations have to happen in terms of organizing events.
Thank you, Doctor. Mr. Arora, would you believe that that's happening in your industry? Is that what you're seeing occurring?
I would like to talk about the impact of the events which we did organize some time ago. I did talk about the exhibition and the big mining event we had 2 years ago. Now, in the middle of the event, we thought, we had a short session. We were trying to take stock of what really is, how is it going. And we thought that we had done a great job and it was a fantastic thing and we'll get compliments from all over. But when we went to the exhibitors and we asked them, look, this has such a good footfalls, people are coming from all over, how's it going? So they gave us a very disappointing picture that, look, these are casual visitors who are coming. They are not the business visitors we are looking for. So this is not the clientele we are trying to cater to. So that came as a, some sort of a wake-up call for us. And I, as a leader, had to literally work overtime and overnight to organize something like a session where the top 5, 6 companies who are the major buyers of these equipment and technologies, they would come and present to them that these are the technologies and the equipment we are looking for in the next 5 years. No, that was a drastic action which we took, and that brought in the results, and there were many, many happy people around there. So that brought in the corrective action. So my feeling is that you have to have your ear to the ground, be in touch with the participants, and monitor the things, how they are going in, and then try and create an impact. But the most important part in any such event is that the content has to be relevant to what we are trying to achieve. If the content is not there and all the other peripherals are there, the wining and dining is not going to get you where you want to be. So the content has to be right to make an impact. Thank you.
You'd agree with that, Doctor? You would agree exactly with that, correct?
Yeah, no, that is agreed. And this content is important, but what is also happening is that it should not become repetitious.
Right.
And and also the venue. Ultimately, how do you attract people to an event, and how do you make an impact? So new thoughts. Say, for example, in the Western culture now it is happening. You bring in some kind of related subject to make it attractive, give a different perspective on the topic that we're going to discuss. So, the new methods have to be brought in.
I think that one interesting point in the middle of his exhibition and congress is he's got feedback. We all get feedback online and Facebook, instantaneous, but to turn around a congress, inside a congress, is quite remarkable, so well done for that. Martin, internationally, the impact of meetings and on events.
Okay, thanks, Phil. I'm going to try and give you about 10 different perspectives that I would normally fit into 5 separate 45-minute presentations, so you will need to pay attention. Okay, value of meetings, impact of meetings. First point, the big meeting of your association is the one time when your association becomes concrete and alive. If you don't pay attention to that meeting, your association can die on the vine. It's a massive opportunity to reinforce the culture, project, meet all of the advocacy goals that we've just been talking about in the last session, look at the return on investment for members, recruit ambassadors and advocates who can actually promote to other people, bring in outside potential members to give them a flavor of what you're trying to do. There are hundreds of things you can do that will make an impact in your meetings. First point. Second point is that meetings are very valuable and impactful at a macro level. About 8 countries around the world have now carried out economic impact studies. And in the States, the results were that the value of the meetings industry was greater than that of the automobile industry in its entirety. So really, really massive. From a micro scale of each individual association, what this means is that you have to start paying attention to the value of your meetings, and you have to use that as a tool in all kinds of ways. Now, the value has 2 different elements. One is the direct spend caused by the delegates and you as an organizer, but that is just the tip of the iceberg. Experiments and studies that we've looked at indicate that far more value is actually being created by the output of the meeting, what is going on with the delegates. For example, we're very good at measuring the $20 breakfast, but we fail to measure the $2 million deal or inward investment that is being discussed over the breakfast. Now, the more that you can do to unlock that knowledge, the more powerful you can make your own association, the more negotiating power you have with suppliers and with cities who want to host your destination. I'll give you one example. International AIDS Society attempted to capture this information by asking each of the delegates to their annual conference to give one story in a paragraph about a powerful positive impact that attending the meeting had on that delegate. And they ended up with stories of government policy being changed, village healthcare workers being educated, changes in mortality rates, new techniques being introduced into outlying areas. So putting all that together, they created a very, very powerful advocacy book about the impact of their meeting and also the much wider impact of the study of the association itself. So I would urge you really look at that. Next point, your meeting is not homogeneous, your delegates are not homogeneous. We did an exercise at our own Congress looking at the objectives that delegates had of going to the meeting, and we came up with 40 separate objectives that those delegates had of going there. What this means is you can design homogeneous, single study, single track, single directional meetings anymore. You've got to think outside the box, and one of the big growth areas internationally is in the design of meetings. Bringing in psychological teaching, and I'm glad we had William here to kick the day off, to get psychology onto your agendas. Think about the psychology of your meetings. How are you designing the informal areas? How are you designing the meeting rooms? How much time are you giving to it? Are you breaking things up so that people can actually attend to what they do? So all I would say is I'm a massive fan, obviously, because I work in the International Congress and Convention Association, of meetings and the value of meetings. You as association executives have an enormously powerful tool at your disposal, and most associations have no idea how to actually turn that tool into a powerful weapon. So pay attention, read widely, talk amongst yourselves, pick up the ideas, and your meetings can become a much more powerful, impactful tool for the value of your association.
So I've gone 4 minutes over my objective, which was 15 minutes, but I'm 11 minutes inside my target of 30 minutes. Whether you celebrate, advocate, educate, meet, buy, sell, create ideas, just talk, we all need to go and eat. So let's eat. We've all met. Go and enjoy lunch, and there's a photo session after this. Thank you. Thank you.